Hello, welcome and mabuhay to another episode of Kalahi TV for our Canada immigration tutorials. Our topic for today is about the Home Child Care Provider Pilot and Home Support Pilot. This is the new program to become permanent resident here in Canada for those qualified caregivers and their family members. First thing that we are going to talk about is the qualifying work experience. So this new pilot program is under the National Occupational Classification Jobs. So you can apply in two ways. It's either you go to the NOC 4411, which is the Home Child Care Provider, or the NOC 4412, which is the Home Support Worker. You can check the qualification and also the job description in the NOC website, so you have the grasp of what is being asked of you, especially on how you perform your work. Let's talk about how this pilot program work. So number one is you have to identify which work are you going to do in here. It's either you apply as a home child care provider pilot, which is NOC 4411, or the home support worker pilot, which is under the NOC 4412. So there are two steps, okay, when you apply for this stream. Number one is when you apply, you submit two things. You submit for your open work, for your work permit, together with your permanent residency. So, work permit and your permanent residency applications. And then, if you meet the requirements, you will get a work permit to work here in Canada temporarily. And then, this work permit is also an open work permit, but occupation restricted. So what does it mean? That you can continue to work or you can change your employer within the time frame that they're giving you, but you cannot change your occupation. For example, if you apply for the child care provider, you have to stay on that job until you finish your 24 months of work experience. But you can change your employer. When you get this 24 months of work experience, you have to inform the immigration that you already have enough work experience. So finish the 24 months as a worker or a caregiver or a child care provider or the home support worker. Then inform immigration that you already complied with this 24 months of work experience. And then the immigration will decide whether they will approve your permanent residence application. Another thing about this process is when you apply for your work permit and your PR, you can also, if you want to include your family to come with you in Canada, you can also include their work permit application. If you have a spouse, you can apply for him or her work permit. And also for your children, you can apply also if they are already in school or they are in school age, you can apply for their study permit at the same time with your application. This is a good thing, for everybody, that we don't need to worry about our family back home So we are bringing them here in Canada. What is the eligibility to apply for these pilot programs? So number one is that you have to have a genuine and valid job offer. So it means that number one is, what is this valid, genuine job offer? So it means it should be full-time, which means at least 30 hours of paid work each week. And it is offered by a Canadian employer. And another thing is if it is outside of the province of Quebec. So Quebec has a different program for caregivers. So it is, if you are applying outside of Quebec, you are qualified to do this, especially from your employer. Okay, if your employer, as long as it is not from Quebec, you can apply for this. Okay, or the next eligibility is you are able to do the work. What does it mean? So it means that they will look for your past experience, or you have a training. Okay, so either of the two you can apply. For example, right now you are in Hong Kong, or you are in the Middle East working as a nanny. Well, you can use that experience to apply for this program. Okay, to apply for this program. And also, just like those who are coming from the Philippines, they are, if they undergone caregiving training, you can use that to apply for this pilot program. But my suggestion is, it is better for you to have the past experience, and at the same time, if you have the training, it strengthens your application. Having that kind of training at the same time you have experience, it strengthens your application, and also to prove to the immigration that you can able to do your work here. So another thing is, you have the language requirement. You have to meet this language requirement. So what does it mean? So you have to take the language test, and you should have the CLB. The minimum language skill required is the Canadian Language Benchmark, or CLB for English, is 5. So two ways that you can have this language requirement is either you take the CELPIP or you take the IELTS. And also, those two almost have the same language skills measurement. So in CLB or CELPIP, you should have 5 for all the language skills. And also, for IELTS, you also have 5. The only difference there is in IELTS, you can have even 4 for your reading, but the rest should be 5. Okay, IELTS 5. It's either you writing 5, listening is 5, speaking is 5. Only the reading can be 4. Okay, can be 4, but not less than 4. But for a CELPIP, you should have all 5 in the language skills. Okay, next one is education. The requirement here is you must have a completed post-secondary education credential of at least 1 year in Canada. So how can you qualify this one? So it means that you have to undergo this education credential assessment. So there are a lot of credential assessment centers, and the one popular here is the West. Okay, so you can use that kind of service in order for you to have this educational credential assessment. So there is one here that is, it says here in Toronto. It is Comparative Education Service, which under University of Toronto School of Continuing Studies. There is also this International Credential Assessment Service of Canada, the ICAS, and the World Education Services, the WES, and this International Credential Evaluation Service. So you can check their websites for these approved organizations, or contact them directly for what documents you need to submit to them and how much it costs and how long will the process or the assessment will take. So now let's talk about application. Okay, let's start from outside of Canada. Okay, step one. This is step-by-step process on how you will do it. Number one is you have to get first a genuine and valid job offer before you apply. So that is the number one step. So, and then complete your application. So there is already the checklist, for these forms that you need. So this is under IMM 5981. So you can search it, you can Google it, and then take it from the website of the immigration of CIC. And then after finishing all those documents, you have to make sure that you have everything, that you have completed all the requirements, all the forms were signed, all the forms were filled out before you submit your application. And then next step would be pay your application fees. So in most cases, your fees include your processing fees for you and anyone you include in your application for permanent residence. And also you have to pay for the right of permanent residence fee, the RPRF, and also for your work permit processing and open work permit holder fee. And at the same time, you have to undergo these biometrics and you have to pay also.